So buenas, welcome back to another video in EspaNa. As you can see from my surroundings, I'm currently in Seville, or Sevilla, as the Spanish would say. I'm about to go to the airport to take my flight home for Christmas, but the weather here is lovely, so I'm just going to try record a little video for you guys and then hopefully post this in a few days. So the topic of this video today is how am I learning Spanish in Spain, as I feel like that's a really important point for you guys to know, to help you out maybe if you're moving to a Spanish speaking country, or even if you're learning in your current country, in your native country. So when I first moved here, I could barely speak anything really. As I mentioned in my first video, I did a beginner's course in university last year, but doesn't really teach you much. I did one class a week and didn't do loads of work in my free time, so sort of looking at ways to how I could learn Spanish in my free time, and I was scouring the internet, and I stumbled across this website called Dreaming Spanish, run by this guy called Pablo. And Pablo's whole theory that he's taken from scientific research is that you can't learn a language, you have to acquire a language. So his theory is that how you learn language is basically just by watching videos, listening, and then obviously real life experiences, but in your free time that's the only way to really learn it, and that you completely ditch learning grammar and just like learning verbs and all that sort of stuff. So I read this and I thought, yeah, this sounds really good, because learning grammar is quite boring, and I did do a bit of that last year and it didn't really get me anywhere. Like, learning lists of vocab is a bit pointless, and then when it's actually used in speech, you're not used to it being in a contextual, you're not used to it in its context that's used in the language, so it's not actually very helpful. So this way you learn the language in phrases, in actual sentences. So yeah, it made sense to me. So yeah, I started this in early October, and within a few weeks I started to notice a massive difference in what I could understand. I was thinking, this is amazing, really. It's so simple, yet so effective. Yeah, so I think someone just chucked something in the river, but buena again. Yeah, I'm really sorry, my phone just stopped recording, so it was a bit annoying, but because I felt like I recorded some really good content afterwards. But I really like the first part because obviously the setting's quite cool and it's just stuff like that. It's quite fun to film outdoors. So I'm going to put that first bit in now, and I'm going to re-record this second bit, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, so why I think Dreaming Spanish is so good, especially for people like me, complete novices, is because they have 4 levels of video ranging from super beginner, intermediate and advanced. They have the whole range of content, and I feel like, as with everything, the first bit's often quite hard to get through because you know nothing and you feel stupid and you can't do anything. But Dreaming Spanish is great for just having content that's really tailored to the beginner, and then you can work your way up through the different levels. So when I first started, in early October. I was doing about half an hour of these videos a day, and then as I've gone on, I've started to do more and more, as I feel like when you start, everything's quite new and it's a bit tiring because you're really trying to concentrate, and after about half an hour it's a bit much. But then I feel like the more you do it, the more you can watch, basically, the more resistance you build to Spanish input. So now I've been averaging about 2 to 3 hours a day and yeah, I've really noticed an improvement in my Spanish. I read this analogy online about learning language, and I think it suits it perfectly. So learning a language is kind of like watching your hair grow. It just grows a bit every day. If you do a bit every single day, every day, after 3 months you'll notice a massive improvement. But day by day, obviously it's hard to tell the difference. And I think this is really key to keep in mind when you're learning a language, because there are moments when, especially for me living in Spain, where I feel like I'm making loads of progress. I feel like, oh yeah, I can have a good conversation with someone, and then for a day or two, I'm just getting humbled 24/7. Don't understand anything, feel quite nervous. My speaking's not very good. But I think it's important just to focus on every day, just doing a bit,
and that's all you can do. I've written down some couple extra tips and tricks for you guys, the viewers, if you decide to start doing Spanish or currently doing it. So the first one I've got is try not to count the hours too much. I know it's a really good motivator and it does motivate me, and I still do this probably too much, but I don't think that's the essence of the website. The essence is to learn Spanish, it's not just to specifically count hours. Yeah, so that's the first one. Tip number 2 is watch interesting content. I've read this a lot online and Pablo says it himself a lot. Watch content that you're interested in. Don't slog through loads of stuff that you don't like just because you think it would be helpful. So yeah, that's tip 2. Tip number 3, and I think the most important, is making your language learning part of your daily habit, part of your daily life. Doing little bits every day, cada dia, as Pablo says, I think is really important in how you truly acquire a language. That's how you can do bits of Spanish every day for 2 or 3 years straight and really learn a lot about the language, instead of, for example, doing 4 hours on Sunday, 1 day a week, the 20 minutes every day for 7 days. Even though you've technically done more hours just doing it on Sunday, it's definitely way better to do little bits every day, just to reinforce in your head the language techniques and how you speak and how you listen. I think it's so important just to do bits every day. So that's what I've tried to do throughout my time here in Spain. So aside from dreaming Spanish, there's other steps I've taken to try and maximise my Spanish learning while I'm here. The first thing I did when I first arrived was I found an apartment with Spanish speakers. A lot of people doing my program live with other English speakers, and I believe, for me, I'm so happy that I live with people who are native Spanish speakers, because even though we don't always speak in Spanish because my Spanish level isn't too high, even listening to them talk over dinner, or it helps a lot, I think. I feel like I've got loads more input, Spanish input, just by living with Spanish speakers. So the second thing I've done since coming here, I've started to go to conversation class. So there's a conversation class every Thursday I go to. It's an intercambio, so you speak in English for 10 minutes and then Spanish for 10 minutes. So yeah, it's really good. I think it's good to practice, and you need to practice to speak. So I think that's really important and been really helpful. Okay, so I think the main thing that I've tried to do, and I think is probably the most difficult to help my Spanish learning, is just to put yourself out there consistently every day. I know living in a new country where you don't know the language is quite hard, but that's the only way you're going to learn in real life situations. Just every day you have to try to speak to new people, join clubs, do stuff like that. I think it helps you settle in a bit as well, as you can connect to the community. But yeah, I think you just really got to put yourself out there as much as possible to try to learn. Otherwise, you're not really going to learn at all. So I think that is crucial and key to note. Anyway, well, that's all I've got for today. What I've got in my notepad. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm trying to film them better and better every time. So I hope this one was good and you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see any type of videos, have any questions for me, and I'll try to answer them. And yeah, adios amigos, and hasta pronto.